Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're jumping into a huge topic, really immense, the Indian education system.
It certainly is. A lot to unpack there.
Definitely. We've looked at sources covering its sheer scale, the way it's structured, and why it generates so much buzz.
Right.
So our mission today is to get a clearer picture, what it is, why it's such a big deal, and maybe what's next for it. Let's get into it.
Okay.
First off, the scale. It's just staggering when you look at the numbers our sources mentioned.
It really is.
We're talking over 1.5 million schools.
Wow.
Yeah. And 250 million students, plus more than 9 million teachers.
That's a colossal system. Hard to even comprehend those numbers sometimes.
It really is, unlike almost anything else in the world.
And how is all of that structured? Because it can seem quite complex from the outside.
Mm.
Well, the basic framework, as our sources lay out, is what's usually called the 10 plus 2 plus 3 system.
Okay, so 10 years of school first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
10 years of foundational schooling. Then comes the plus 2, which is 2 years of higher secondary. That's often when students start specializing a bit.
Right. Prepping for university entrance and all that.
Precisely. And then the plus 3 is typically 3, sometimes more, years for a bachelor's degree at college or university.
And within that, you have different boards, right?
Sure.
That adds another layer.
Oh, absolutely. There's a real variety. You've got the big national ones like CBSE, the Central Board of Secondary Education.
Often seen as key for competitive exams.
Yes, very much so. Then there's ICSE, the Indian Certificate of Secondary Education, which is known for maybe a more application-focused curriculum.
Okay.
And then, of course, numerous state boards, each tailored more to regional languages and needs. So it's quite a mosaic.
That word mosaic.
Yeah.
It sounds good, choice and all that, but our sources really highlight how it also creates this incredibly competitive environment.
Definitely.
The pressure starts so early. Coaching classes, private tuitions. It's like this parallel system almost.
It really is an entire ecosystem built around exams and performance.
It's not just about learning the material, it seems, but about scoring higher than everyone else. So what does that intense focus on marks actually mean for the students going through it?
Well, that's really the core of why this system gets talked about so much, isn't it? Our sources often frame it as this mix of brilliance and burden.
Brilliance and burden. Okay, tell me more.
The brilliance part is obvious in many ways. You see graduates from the Indian system leading global tech companies, becoming world-class doctors, engineers.
Absolutely. You see the names everywhere.
The system, despite its flaws, clearly produces incredibly capable, high-achieving individuals. There's a certain academic rigor there.
But then there's the burden side.
Right. And that's the flip side. We hear so much about rote learning, just memorizing facts from maybe outdated textbooks.
Yeah.
And the immense stress, the anxiety tied to exams, where your whole future feels like it depends on just a few scores. It can stifle creativity, critical thinking.
That makes you think about that question our sources posed.
Exactly. We ask children to score well, but do we ask if they understand well?
That really hits home. It captures that tension perfectly. A system producing stars, but maybe at a high cost for many.
A very high cost, psychologically and sometimes in terms of genuine learning.
So given these challenges, these pressures, what's being done? Are there efforts to change things?
Well, the big news on that front, according to our sources, is the new Education Policy 2020, the NEP 2020.
Right, I've heard a lot about that. It sounds ambitious.
It is very ambitious. The core idea really is to make a significant shift.
A shift from what to what?
From just focusing on marks, on exam results, towards building actual skills, moving away from rote memorization towards real deep understanding, conceptual learning.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice? Any examples?
Yeah, they talk about introducing things like coding much earlier, putting more emphasis on vocational training, making education more directly relevant to jobs.
Practical skill.
Exactly. And also giving more importance to regional languages. Plus, a big one is offering more flexibility in choosing subjects, breaking down those rigid science, arts, commerce streams.
So, trying to create more well-rounded individuals, not just specialists trained for exams.
That's the goal, absolutely. Preparing students for the complexities of the 21st century.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is. And our sources are very clear on this. The policy itself, however good it looks on paper, is only as effective as its implementation.
Ah, the execution challenge, especially in a system this huge and diverse.
Precisely. It depends on teacher training, resources, getting everyone on board across the entire country. That's the real test.
So this deep dive really shows us a system with these two powerful sides. Incredible scale and achievement, but also facing these deep-rooted pressures.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to boil down to that fundamental question we touched on.
Mm-hmm.
Is the main goal making minds, fostering real understanding, or is it just about making marks?
It really does. And that leaves us, and you listening, with a final thought to chew on. As these new policies like NEP 2020 promise big changes, how do we as individuals, as communities, as educators, make sure that the spirit of real learning, understanding, and skill building actually wins out over those old pressures?
How do we ensure the change is real, not just on paper?
Exactly. It's something worth thinking about, especially when you consider the future of learning, not just in India, but everywhere. Keep learning, keep questioning.